Warrior, Paladin, Monk. I know you guys have been waiting a while for this one, so let's get into it. In this video, we will go over the following: how this combination functions as a combined superpower, current stat priority, tribute focus effects and stats, current consumables and click items, how to adapt to the current content, spell sets, pet gear, weapons, and hotkeys, tactics for current capstone, and custom content. Last, we'll go over tips and tricks to really step up your game with this build. First up, how this combination functions as a combined superpower. Well, it's all about melee attacks. Way of Steel, 100 Hands, and then those precious cooldowns coming out of Warrior and Monk. Things like Gut Punch, Press the Attack, Battle Leap, Crippling Strike, Grappling Strike, Warlord's Fury, Eye Gouge, and Vehement Rage. Utilizing these things together, along with things like Blade Guardian, allow you to prevent damage from coming in and putting out tons and tons of damage yourself. But wait, we forgot. There's this precious discipline. Maybe you've heard of it. Mighty Strike. Mighty Strike is a discipline that makes it so that all your attacks crit. So when you're utilizing Gut Punch to increase your base damage, press the attack to reduce the target's armor, Battle Leap as a way to increase your own attack, Crippling Strike as a way to make you more likely to land strikes, Warlord's Fury, again, to increase your chance to hit and increase your chance to do additional damage, Grappling Strike, also increasing your chance to hit, and then Vehement Rage, which is increasing your damage. All of these things in combination are going to really ramp up your attacks so that when you're auto attacking, you're hitting for 20, 30, almost 40,000 damage on a pretty basically geared character. In addition to this, you're also getting heals, cures, a ton of other great defensive and offensive buffs, and then all these wonderful steroids, ways to boost your damage. Again, Mighty Strike, Inner Flame, Holy Forge, Ashen Hand, and you get Remove Greater Curse. What more could you ask for? When leveling this character up and getting your AAs, you're probably going to want to focus on some of these. Now, again, I try not to tell people how to build it up. I think that at the end of the day, that should be a decision that you make, and what you focus on should be up to you. If you want to level through killing undead, then focus on getting Slay Undead. If you want to level up through pulling tons of things all together and then using Furious to damage them down or Whirlwind to damage them down, do that too. It's entirely up to you. The game is your oyster. Play it the way you want to. All that being said, these are the things that I recommend you get along the way. Combat Fury, Ferocity, Weapon Affinity, Battle Leap, Way of Steel, Veteran's Wrath, Twin Proc, Shield Specialization, Holy Shield, Blade Guardian, Warlord's Tenacity, Warlord's Resurgence, Imitate Death, Hasten Death, Planar Durability Warrior, and Planar Durability Paladin, Armor of the Inquisitor, Tactical Mastery, Sturdiness, Strike Through, and of course, Slay Undead. Now, if you wanted to break this down to a smaller list that I recommend you focus on, I think you're going to get the largest impact out of things like Imitate Death, Hasten Death, Way of Steel, Combat Fury, Slay Undead. These are all very, very great skills that you can utilize in order to gather other AA or level up faster. Second thing we're going to talk about is your current stat priority, the tributes that you'll focus on, and the stats that you'll want to chase after. First up is Heroic Strength, followed by Mitigation, Healing Power, Heroic Dexterity, and then Spell Damage. Heroic Strength increases your damage from auto attacks by 1% for every point of Heroic Strength you get up to 100. And then it starts receiving diminishing returns. The diminishing returns are actually not even that bad, and I do recommend you chase this stat very hard. Even going as high as 250 heroic strength is still very, very rewarding. Remember, this is just giving you boost for swinging your weapon. Never mind all the other buffs and boosts and steroids that you get from your AAs, disciplines, or otherwise. Mitigation is obviously going to help you stay alive. When you're getting hit, having mitigation is going to help you across the board. Shoot for roughly 15 to 1600 for best results. Healing power, this is going to boost all your heals, your procs from that precious hope bringer that you should be using. And at the end of the day, it's going to let you cast your little baby paladin heals and get the most results out of them. Heroic dexterity provides you with proccing power as well as some defensive stats. And then spell damage for those few little bits of procs and things that you have out there as well. It'll help you kill things just a little bit quicker. The focus effects that you should obtain either through tribute or through pieces of gear are increased healing potency, reduced mana cost of spells, beneficial reduced cast time, reduced spell cast time, and extended enhancement. All very, very important. Some tributes to consider: Bulwark of Honor, which gives you AC, Eyes of the Hunter, which gives you attack, Fury of Combat, which increases your accuracy, Strength of Body, and Vengeful Aura. Current consumables and click items. Now, just real quick, I've had a couple of people give me some feedback on some of these items because you can no longer get them during the normal standard gameplay. Some of these items you can only obtain through either the gambling system or through various different events that have happened, seasonal events, things like Christmas and Thanksgiving, things of that nature. But I assure you, most of these items in the consumables area aren't massive boosts. They're not relied upon. And frankly, they're really only if you want to absolutely min-max this build. Food is Elvish Rations. Elvish Rations can be obtained through the cookie sheet or cookie platter that you obtained through the Christmas event. Drink is the Elvish Hot Chocolate, which you get through the Hot Chocolate Decanter, which again was a Christmas event item. The potion that I recommend you utilize is the Spider's Bite 11, which provides you with a poison direct damage proc. Not absolutely necessary, but this is a boost in damage and helpful. The next potion that I recommend you use is the Fungus Covered Vial. This removes Greater Curse and provides you with a light regen. Now, this isn't 100% needed for the Paladin build, but sometimes it's just nice to have because it's an instant click. Some of the consumables that you should use are the Human Classic Milk Chocolate, which gives you plus 20 to all stat caps, allowing you to get more dexterity, more strength, more stamina, etc. This boosts everything up by 20. You can also get the Draken Ruby Swirled Chocolate, which provides you with a fire damage proc on attack. Now, both of these chocolates are a result of the box of chocolates, which was obtained through the Valentine's Day event. Now, these items that I'm about to go over are far more important and far more assistant in playing the build and provide you with some real, genuine boosts. If you were going to start somewhere and chase after items, this would be where I'd start. For your sympathetic healing, you'll want to get the Cloak of Crystalline Waters. Reason being that this item requires 200 mana in order to proc, which is under all of your heals that you'll be using. And it provides you with a substantial enough heal that you can cast some of the lower level heals and still gain a pretty massive benefit. For an attack buff, the Serrated Dart of Energy. For a damage shield and regen buff, the Chestplate of Fiery Might. For a stat and hit point buff, the Torque of the Wormlord. For another damage shield, Blazing Vambraces. An attack buff, the Reaper's Ring. A regen and attack buff, the Pauldrons of Ferocity. An overhaste buff, the Silver Hoop of Speed. A proc buff, the Symbol of the Plainsmasters. Another proc buff, Gloves of the Crimson Sigil. An AC buff, Band of Primordial Energy. Bonus dodge chance, the Visage of the Dark Arachnids. This item can only be obtained through either buying one on the bazaar or through the Gambling Halfling. For an AC buff, the Lodazel Shell Boots. For a mana buff, the Eye of Dreams. For a damage shield and armor class buff, the Girdle of Living Thorns. And for a hit point and armor class buff, the Chest Wraps of Enlightenment. How to adapt to the content. Spell sets, pet gear, weapons, and hotkeys. First over, let's talk about the Hopebringer. This guy is your bread and butter. This is arguably one of the major pieces of this build. The ratio is amazing. The proc is a great heal. It offers amazing stats. It's just win, win, win. And it's got a pretty snazzy graphic too. Next up, let's talk about the spell bar. Light of Life, Celestial Cleansing, Life of Knife, Touch of Knife, Wave of Mar, Healing Wave of Prexis, Remove Greater Curse, Crusader's Touch, Cease, Desist, Quellius's Word of Serenity, and Divine Aura. And frankly, you can take those stunts right off that bar and you probably won't notice because you're probably never going to cast them. I put them on the bar as a filler, and in rare occurrences where I want to interrupt something, I do so, but honestly, they're not even worth casting. If you're not swinging, you're not winning, and if you're not winning, you're dead. There's really only a reason for one bar. There's not a lot of adaptability within this. It's an auto attack build, so you really have the heals, the cures, and Divine Aura in case something goes terribly, terribly wrong. For a hotkey, I recommend utilizing Warlord's Fury, Grappling Strike, Gut Punch, Press the Attack, and Eye Gouge. Just a relatively easy setup that you can just smash all throughout the fight and not really worry or concern yourself too much because all of these things have a relatively quick cooldown. Tactics for current capstone and custom content. The Sleeper is a relatively easy fight. You're going to burn him right from the beginning. Pop Vehement Rage, Battle Leap, Mighty Strike, and just spam the hotkey containing Warlord's Fury, Grappling Strike, Gut Punch, Press the Attack, and Eye Gouge. Sleeper will fall over pretty dang quickly. Lord Inquisitor Saru. For this one, you're going to need to make sure that you use either a Yttrium weapon or a Yttrium augment so that you can get that Saru Bane in. If you're using a Yttrium weapon, make sure that you have a healing augment on your weapon. It's going to make this a lot easier. If you're using a Yttrium augment, it should only be in one weapon, and that's the Hopebringer. You're going to want to make sure that you've triggered Blade Guardian prior to entering this fight so that you have the buff in your short-term buff window. Then, right out the gate, you're going to run in, Vehement Rage, Battle Leap, Mighty Strike, and start mashing that hotkey. Use Rage of Ralozek if you drop to around 50% health. Once Mighty Strike ends, go in, use Inner Flame, and don't concern yourself with curing or healing. Allow Blade Guardian to pop. You can heal using Rage of Ralozek to keep yourself above 50% when able. If you are low on mana or hit points, use Furious. If not, use Holy Forge. Saru is not nearly dead, or you're not halfway through his rune at this point. Go ahead and cure the curse to keep your mana up. He'll still die relatively quickly. This is a pretty easy fight for this build, frankly. Zabuxaruk. You're going to go in, you're going to pre-cast Heal over time, and pre-cast Blade Guardian before engaging. Try not to fall under 70%, so you don't take a bad round and accidentally pop Blade Guardian too early. When the first ad pops, if not undead, pop Holy Forge, Battle Leap, and just start mashing that hotkey. Use Rage of Ralozek to keep your health up as needed. On the second ad, only use the hotkey. It's likely only 2 of the abilities are going to be off cooldown at this point, and again, if undead, just hold all cooldowns. On third ad, spam hotkey, Battle Leap, and Rage of Ralosek. Repeat this until you get to the Planes of Power ad at 75%. Try to hold all cooldowns at this point. Once you kill the ad, turn to Zeb, get him down to 70%, and hit Battle Leap, Hotkey, Vehement Rage, and Mighty Strike, and pop Rage of Ralosek if you get down to 50% hit points. Use things like Imperators, Warlords, Resurgence, and Armor of the Inquisitor as needed to stay alive. Zeb will likely die during the Mighty Strike window, but if not, use Inner Flame after. Tips and tricks to step up your game with this build. First up, what you're going to want to do is cast Symbol of Marzen, and then cast Heroic Bond, and then cast Guidance. This will allow you to keep Heroic Bond and Guidance on yourself. If casted in any other order, you'll get a blocked message and won't be able to have both Heroic Bond and Guidance up. This will provide you with additional hit points and AC. You may have heard me talk about Blade Guardian throughout this build several times. The reality is, Blade Guardian is a 7-minute duration short buff, which pops once you hit a certain hit point threshold, providing you with a heal and a 100% parry chance. The funny thing is it has a 5-minute recast, so technically you could keep the buff up longer than the recast is, so you could use it back to back, providing you with a full 60 seconds of no melee damage incoming and some healing. This is pretty huge, and frankly, if you pay attention to it, the timer actually doesn't tick down, so the 7-minute duration is kind of pointless. So if you enter a zone, pop Blade Guardian, and just run around and do whatever you're going to do. And then if it ever gets popped or you ever get in danger of dying, it'll activate and you can just click it again and pop it back up for a 60 seconds of melee immunity. This will allow you to get through things like Mighty Strike windows and things like that, where you can just focus on doing damage rather than having to heal yourself or take a break of some other type. Rage of Ralosek used with Hopebringer is a really strong healing process. Now, we were just talking about Blade Guardian, and you don't want to hit that hit point threshold to pop it too soon. So, what's a great way of doing this? Holding on to Rage of Ralosek until such a moment presents itself in which you can utilize it alongside Hopebringer to keep your health nice and high and not accidentally trigger it. You may want to set up things like audio triggers. Some great ideas would be to set up an audio trigger for Blade Guardian itself for when it fades because it's triggered. Or perhaps you want to add a audio trigger for Rage of Ralosek so that you know when it ends and you know when you can start casting things again. Either one of these things, audio triggers are so beneficial and so helpful. I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video and any others that you've watched in the past. If you haven't already, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and you'll be notified whenever I create any new videos. Thanks a lot. Take it easy.